So let's start to look at things you can do to customize more the way that WordPress looks and acts for you. And in the process, I'll try to cover as much of these basics or introduce you to some of the stuff here that you can do for the site. So some of these are pretty self-explanatory. Others are worth us taking a look at. So you can get stats on your site, like how many people have been there and stuff like that. Um, there's things that you can set up and do better tracking. Most of that for most users isn't a big deal, but if you're looking how much traffic you are trying to drive or trying to make money in some way from this, that stuff becomes more important. Under plans here is just, what things are available, mostly, for extra money. Posts, we've already taken a quick look at this. And then media, that's your actual library that, as you saw when we did a post, just by adding a post, or I'm sorry, an image to a post, it automatically starts to build up the library. And the significance of this is if you have images that you're going to use over and over, you don't have to keep using up parts of your free space. You can use the same image in different parts of your website or on multiple blogs or what have you. I've never had a need to use this link section. I believe it's just to manage links that you use over and over in your different forms. Pages, we're going to delve into this in a minute. Comments, we talked about that before. That's managing comments that people make on your site. In this feedback section, you can use this to make polls for people. So if you're really getting engaging with what people think about your work, you can create polls. And when I say work, I don't necessarily mean your work as an artist or designer. I just mean what you're blogging. Appearance, this is obviously going to become very important to us. We'll look more at this. Now, plugins. This requires a little bit of explanation here. Remember this, I mentioned in the first video, we use WordPress.com and there aren't a whole lot of plugins available for WordPress.com. In fact, probably when you go to just about any of these, you'll find out that they would require upgrading your site. One of the reasons that you can't just add anything to this site is for security purposes, because they, meaning WordPress, is hosting it for you, and they don't want to take a chance that anybody can, find a way to get in and hack not only your site but multiple other ones. When you go to host a WordPress site on your own, maybe down the road, that's something you kind of have to keep in the back of your mind. Especially if you put a plugin that you find elsewhere. Make sure that you kind of know the reputation, but a plugin can be anything from setting up the site to take e-commerce, helping you manage spam, all kinds of different things, but more of an advanced topic than what we need to worry about right now. Users is kind of interesting, probably not that useful for us right now, but you could actually have like a team of 5 people or even 50 people that worked on your one WordPress site, and you can give them different levels of what they're allowed to do on the site. Tools, you have like one good example of things that you can do here is import content from your other sites. So something you may want to look into further. Settings. This is one of our important ones. You can see when I clicked on it, it dropped down more information. So now with that in mind, I guess this is probably a good place to start. We'll go into settings, we'll go to general. And so there you have the access to change your tagline. Now, I guess hear me say this, but remember a lot of this stuff, there's multiple ways to change it. So you'll see tagline here. You'll probably see it if you have a theme and you click on the theme itself. There might even be another what do you call it, tab over here that would take us in, and you might see this option again. So hopefully this is the last time I'll say that. That a lot of times you just got to really get in your head what it is you're trying to do and be willing to look through this stuff to find it. So I'm going to leave that the same for now, but just know that if you want to delete your tagline or change it in some way, this is the site title. This is what shows up at the top of the site. So maybe now's a good time to change this. And that's going to be up here in the site itself, which shows up there. So if we want to change the way that looks, maybe everything jammed together is not the most attractive. Let me go in here and just change the way this is worded. And I'll show you what some of these changes look like, but just keep them in mind. This is one of them that we've made so far. Here, if you ever needed to change the format, when the date starts, what English it's in. So there's actually not too much in there, so let's go ahead and save that right now. And then let's see what the actual site looks like, which we could preview from inside of here, but sometimes I just keep two tabs open, and then I'll just go out to the other tab and refresh it. So you can see that's where that changed, and if we made a change to the tagline, it would be there. Let's move on to writing. Now, most of these are kind of self-explanatory. We'll talk a little bit more about categories. Nothing that we need to change in there for now. Then we'll go into reading. This is a key one to remember. We'll come back to this because that's how you change a WordPress site to look more like a website than like a blog. Blog pages show at most 10 blogs for now. Now, this is an interesting one. You may want to change it, although I really don't recommend it for now. But let's say you were making a big deal site, something that was very important to you. You might want to discourage search engines from indexing the site when you first make it and you think that it's kind of sloppy. Truth of the matter is it's going to take the search engines a while to get to your site. If you do a search in Google for Prof. Steve G, my site comes up, but it took years before it was like the first thing that popped up. Related posts, hide content, yeah, so again, most of this stuff is more advanced, but this top one we definitely will get back to. Let's look at discussion. I mentioned this setting before, that you should make sure that that people have to fill out a name and an email before they comment. That'll stop you from getting tons of garbage on your site. I really wouldn't recommend this one, but if you wanted people to actually be WordPress users before they could log into your site, not sure, when I say log in, I mean before they could make a post on your site. Not exactly sure why you would want to do that. Email me whenever anyone makes a post. If you become too extremely popular on here, maybe you want to undo that. Maybe you'll be checking the site daily, so that's unnecessary. But for now, like I said, I think they do a pretty good job with their defaults to match what we need anyway. And there's some things that could help you out if you keep getting the same garbage showing up here. Most of this stuff's pretty well explained here. And just remember, a lot of the stuff that you do in WordPress, there's usually a button that you're going to have to find on the page. It's usually down at the bottom, but sometimes it's up here near the top right area that you'd have to click to save any changes. We didn't make any, so we don't have to worry about that. Under media, this goes back to your media library or dealing with media. So how big do you want thumbnail images? What's a medium size? What's a large size? If you're getting very image heavy on here, you may want to experiment with these. If you have an image carousel, ask you what color you want the background. Yeah. Sharing. Promote your site across social media. You just grab from this menu what you would like to actually appear on your blogs. They have a couple here, by default if you want people to be able to share it on LinkedIn, or if you want them to be able to print it, just whatever you add down here is what will show up on the blog. If you don't want social media buttons to show up on your pages, for example, you could uncheck this. You can fill something in here for Twitter. You can turn the option for people to like your posts automatically or on a case-by-case basis. And if you made any changes, of course, click it there. If you'll be doing any polling, you can go into here. If you need ratings, you go into here. Under ad control, on a free site, you really don't have a whole lot of ad control, so they may have an ad at the bottom of your site, especially the longer it's been around or the more traffic it gets. If you don't want that, then obviously you have to go in and pay for your site. So, but we're not going to worry about that for right now. To worry about this if you're the only user on here, because you would know when a post changes. And what is this, webhooks? Yeah, and again, this looks more advanced because right now you would just have it set up where you get an email when someone makes a comment on your site. So let's get on with actually making this thing look more like a website. So our key thing here would be, first we've got to add some more pages. So we'll go to page, we'll go to add new. Now notice how similar this is to a post at first. Menu looks the same. Add new. We'll go in here. Looks still very much like a post. You put the title of the page and the content of the page just like you did for a blog. The only difference is instead of this being a blog, it's going to start to develop the page structure of your site. Before we add another page, let me just show you something real quick. I'm going to click back here to get back the dashboard. Sometimes actually the back button will work too to get you to the last state where it was shown. But I'm going to go back to pages and I'm going to go to the menu showing up a little bit different. Let me see if I can get it to change. Yeah, okay, so you see how that shows there. So let's go back to get over to the top of pages. What I really wanted to do was just show you this all pages. Which is sometimes where it takes you if you just click on the button itself without going to the sub menu items. Anyway, right now you may or may not have this as I do. There's a contact page in here. So why would I have a contact page already? If you think back to the first video, I started filling out half of those 10 steps or whatever it was that they told us to do. Well, one of those made a contact page. And if you remember, I told you don't worry if you do this or not, because A, you can edit it, or B, we can make a contact page later. So just to show you, I'm going to delete this. Click right here, go to change what action I want to occur to what I have checked. And I want that to be moved to trash, and I'm going to apply. Now if I go out and look at my site, I can see that extra button is gone and all I have is a home button. So we'll go once again back into pages and we'll go add a page or add new, and we'll just make an about page. So it's going to be the same instructions as the blog, where you type something up here as a title, type in here for content. And what the heck, just for test purposes, let's go ahead and throw an image in here, or for instructional purposes. Same as before, click this plus sign up here, that little sub menu that came down, we click image, and again we can drag and drop. We can go to the media library if we know that image is already in there, or we can upload by going through our navigation. I'd say by navigating through our menu structure here of different files. And let's see, since I put a big and a small in the blog, let's try a more medium-sized one here at 520 by 200 pixels. Click on open, puts that image in there. Again, you could write a caption there if you want. What the heck, let's, for whatever it's worth here, 520 by 200 pixel image. And let's publish this page and see what happens. Now that it's published, if we click on preview, we can see Get a pretty good idea of what the world's going to see when they look at this. Interesting new thing, or maybe just a glitch, is it would usually add the name